Hey, welcome back to 24 Hours Inside. Today we're here with Lewis.
Oh, how you doing?
So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you started, and we'll go from there.
Oh, okay. Oh, my name is Luis Hernandez. Um, been friend with Josh for over 10 years. I just met him. How you doing, guys? Well, I'm a door-to-door salesperson. Been doing that for 6 years. Gonna be 7 now. My humble beginning started way back when I first came to this country, and they gave me an opportunity to work at McDonald's. Was one of the best experience that I always say. I never talk about bad about McDonald's. Actually, I never talk bad about any of my jobs. But if I tell anybody about McDonald's, I always tell them that it was one of the best jobs I ever had. Even though I wasn't making any money like everybody else know, it taught me a lot. I learned from over there how to value the money, how to value my time actually, because money you could have it now, but but not later. But it actually helped me understand that the time that I was putting there, it wasn't undervalued for the amount of money that I was getting. So that was an eye opening for me. So that and what else?
So how'd you go from McDonald's to your next job?
Oh, that's yeah, I was telling you about this story. I was working on McDonald's for 9 months. That was maybe my eight was gonna be my 9 month, and I used to have this one customer that always used to come to me all the time. He didn't want anybody else to take care of him, or no other manager, no other. At that time, I used to be an assistant manager, getting paid 5.55. But still, I was manager.
Yeah.
He always liked the way that I take care of him and his kid. Usually used to come with his kid, and he liked me to make his chicken sandwich with the chicken patty, the cheese, and the lettuce and the mayo. A lot of people didn't understand that he wanted on that specific order. So every time that he ordered for somebody else, even if I was off, or even before I was working there, he always complained about it. The only reason that he always came to me because one day he was very irate, and I was like, "Oh, what kind of sandwich you want?" And he told me. When he told me, I made it wrong, and he's like, "Oh, you don't understand. I want the chicken, the cheese, the lettuce, and the mayo." So I was like, "Okay, so you want it on that order?" It's like, "Yes, I want it on that order because I don't like the way it feels in the other way." Okay, customer is always right. So I went to the back, I made it myself.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, I knew the customer. So every time he come, I knew the guy from the back of the kitchen. So I used to tell him, "Listen, this is the order that you're gonna make this way. Every single day, no problem." So from that point going forward, he used to come every time like around 3 or 4. Um, he used to get the order from me, but he always stayed on, on eating in the restaurant. He was looking at me. He said he was looking at me for like 3 months, and the only reason why he approached me one day was because he noticed that out of everybody on the restaurant, customer that used to come to complain, I was the only one that gave them a solution. I never argued with them. I never even cared. I mean, I cared what they were saying, but I wasn't like giving a confrontational solution.
You had a positive attitude.
Yes, he was like, "Your customer service is impeccable, and not only because you only work on McDonald's, you shouldn't care." To be honest, he told me that, but you show that you get the job done instead of just arguing about it. "Oh, this is not the standard that you ordered." You didn't even care about that. You didn't even blame anybody,
Yeah.
neither the person that made the order or the customer for getting the wrong order. So you didn't care about the problem, but you cared about the solution. The customer always left happy, and that happened all the time, left and right. Because you know how McDonald's is. For
Yes.
that moment, then he was like, "What about you changing job?" He just asked me that, and I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "What about if you could work for Verizon? Will you take it?" I was like, "Oh, I switched to date if you give me the opportunity." So he was like, "Okay." So I remember that was like on a Wednesday or Thursday. I don't remember exactly what it was. And the guy was like, "So I have an interview set up for you for Monday. You gotta be on 31st, and I believe it was 31st. Go to the West Side Highway. I don't remember the other street, but I know it was 31st Street." He was like, "There's gonna be somebody waiting for you at 11 a.m. Be sharp, dress good, and he's gonna be interviewing." And that's actually my boss.
Oh.
So he gave me a recommendation to his boss.
Wow.
So when I went over there, I didn't know anything about it, but I just took the shot.
Yeah.
Went over there, and the guy, to be honest with you, I didn't even speak no even 10% of the English that I speak now. And look, I have an accent, but I was really bad because I just came from DR not even a year ago. And that was going to be a big challenge. So when I was on the interview, I remember the guy's name was Orlando, Puerto Rican guy, Orlando Melendez. And I go to the interview with like my Dominican swag, whatever you call it. I'm talking and I'm struggling to speak with him on the interview. And the guy's like, at the end of the day, the guy comes to me. It was him, and there was another supervisor that was the same as the guy was named Newton. The guys who gave me the opportunity at McDonald's. They used to come to me all the time.
Yeah.
There was another guy named, I know his name was Perez, Manny Perez. He came to me. It was Orlando and Manny in the same room, and they did an interview for like an hour and a half. Then Orlando came to me. I don't remember that. I mean, I don't forget that.
Yeah.
He came to me outside. He said, "Can you wait outside?" And they were talking. And he came outside and he said, "You know what? I don't see what you saw in you. I don't buy it. But you so high recommended that just because I know Newton and he don't make decisions like that, I'm gonna give you the opportunity. But if I would be me, I would never hire you." Two things that happened there. One, I took that shit personal. Personal because he offended me. I know I didn't speak English and I couldn't, he knew that. And the second one was, Newton, batch out for me.
Yeah.
So now I owe Newton and I cannot deliver less than 100, 200%. So, I'm in debt to him, which is eventually need to become my supervisor. So, that's how it started.
Wow.
So,
That's quite a story.
now I know people don't believe me. They think I made it up. But that's that. When I went to Verizon, the only reason why I always gave my 100% or 150%, it was because I always thought about what would somebody say about me to Newton, because I owe him now.
You have to prove yourself.
I have to prove myself. I have to prove Orlando wrong because that was on my mind all the time. I gotta make this guy wrong because he says something like, even without knowing me or giving me the opportunity or see what I could do, he prejudged me, and that's a lot of people do all the time. Even now, even when you're selling somebody, you prejudge the customer, you prejudge your friends, you prejudge your coworker instead of giving them the opportunity. You know what? Let me see what you could do, and then I'm not even gonna kill you or criticize you, but let me twitch a little bit how I do it or how you could fix it. Because not everybody's perfect. Me, I make a lot of mistakes, but I learn from it. There's some things that Judge could be doing better than me. Doesn't mean I'm gonna do it the same way than him, but I can learn from him to make it my own way. Same thing from you, or same thing from me. Like, we all can learn from anybody.
So everyone's biased, but everyone has their own learning mechanism from different people.
The moment that you think that you know it all, that's when you don't know nothing. So that's, people get that, like, many places that I work, you see some top reps, not all of them, because when you see a top rep, you already know he went through that mechanism of change. You know that he's always learning. But you see some of them that they're like, "Oh, I'm the biggest that it is, and there's no way that I'm going to listen from somebody below me." And that's when you fail. Because, you may be a top rep for a year, 2, but what happens when time caught up to you and you couldn't innovate because time ain't no waiting for nobody. Changes are gonna happen eventually. And if you have your mindset that you're not changing, that's gonna cut up to you because you may be updated for 1 or 2 years, but what gonna happen after that? Always gotta be changing. And believe it or not, the people on the bottom have better idea than the people on the top. Because they're the one that's struggling. And those are the one that you could learn from, so you don't do it. Or you do it better. So that's it.
So what happened after Verizon? Where'd you go?
My third job, that was Sprint PCS and Nextech. I went over there. I used to work on 34th Street for Verizon, and next to each other there was Verizon, and then there was Sprint. Next to each other, I used to be a tech on Verizon for the last 5 years, and I want to go into sales. Even though I was doing sales on Verizon too, my job was tech / salesperson, but I wasn't getting paid commission for it. So I was like, I gotta change. I tried a couple of times to go to the sales department, but they didn't want to give me the transfer because when I was working with Verizon, it was technically working for Selection. It's a third-party company that they subsidize the tech department. So there was a clause on the contract that says that for me to transfer from Selection, I gotta wait 90 days out of the job to apply.
Okay.
So I didn't want to take the risk because I got bills to pay.
Yeah.
So I saw a guy next door on 34th Street. He's like, oh, you know what? They're doing an open house here on Friday. And guess what? Friday was my day off. So I went over there. I met Tamika, store manager from Astoria. She went over there and I'm doing an interview. And as soon as she saw me, she was doing an interview for that location, specific, not Astoria, that location. She didn't even have an opening. She was like, listen, I want to hire you, but do you mind coming to Queens? I'm like, oh, I'm from the Bronx. I don't mind coming to Queens, but I prefer being on 34th Street because it's going to take me 30 minutes to be here. To go to Astoria, it's going to take me like an hour and a half every day, back and forth. She's like, well, I have the job for you, but it has to be in Queens because she wanted me to go to her because of my resume and everything that I know and the way that I talk to her. Okay, all right. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Now let's talk about the money. So all right, everybody starts here at $10 an hour. Say, well, that's not gonna cut it because I'm making over there $12 an hour. Plus, I'm getting bonuses and stuff like that. Yes, I know I don't get paid commission, but also I have my minimum stuff that I gotta take care of home, like my rent, my bills gotta pay themselves, you know.
Yeah.
So when I go over, she's like, okay, so I give you 12, the same thing that you're getting paid on Verizon. Actually, I found out I was getting paid 16 on Verizon at the moment, and she's giving me $12.50. I was like, no, minimum that I could take the job, to be honest, even though it's commission and everything, because I'm gonna work for my commission, but I also want to have a set salary. It would be $15. She's like, okay, I can now give you $15, and I could see what I could do, but I cannot give you $15. Okay, so if anybody could do it, you call me, you let me know because I'm willing to go, but I'm willing to go with the right pay. I'm not gonna take a pay cut. And then she was telling me the whole commission thing and stuff. I was like, yeah, I know, and I'm gonna make a lot of money in the commission because I know myself, but at the same time, I want to have something set. So whenever you're ready and you could give me the better offer, you call me. It took 3 days and she called me. She's like, I cannot give you the 15 and a half, but I could give you 14 and a half. All right, when do I start? So that I started spring on Astoria for like 9 months. Over there I met Aquilino, which is one of my friends, and he was actually the lead of the store. I was working over there and I was stealing every single customer he had, every one of them. Like every single customer that came to the store was buying from me, not for him. Not because he was bad, because he was the lead, he just got promoted. He was becoming complacent, he was becoming comfortable with his position. He got a paid raise and he was doing more managerial stuff than selling. So I was more on the floor, I was more active. So most of the customers, when they were coming asking for him, I used to do the upgrades, selling the new lines and all of that. So I was taking ownership on the sales floor. So in no time, I became the number one salesperson on that location in less than 3 months than anybody else. I was selling more phone than anybody, more upgrade, everything.
Was there something special about your personality, the way you approach the customers, or what do you think in your mind sets you apart from everyone else?
Well, no lie, I already came from 5 years of wireless industry on the tech department with Verizon, which is the best company service, wireless service on the industry. So I knew I had more background than anybody else on that floor because everybody else was either their first time job or they just came from high school, something, but they wasn't into the job. They were just this. I'm here just to make a quick buck. When my 8-hour shift is over, I know if I'm gonna give you 1 minute, I'm out. So they were just there,
So it's the effort you're saying
plays
a big part.
I was there to make money. I was there because I have bills to pay. I have already a kid. I have Anthony at the moment. He was like 1 year old. So I have bills. I mean, people could tell me whatever they want, but when you have bills, man, you work. That's why when I tell people, you want to get motivation and you don't even have to watch any video or anything like that, just hide up your expenses. It's not going to be better motivation than that. Because when you know you don't have enough money to pay your bills or to take care of your basic necessity, you find a way to make money.
Yeah, there's this saying like, everyone can be a general during peacetime, and everyone can be a general during the wartime.
Exactly. So the same way. So when I was there, Aquilino then got it 6 months later. The other lady that used to be the assistant manager got promoted to manager on one store on Broadway, and she requested Aquilino to be promoted as an assistant manager there. A position open over there to be a senior rep. So Aquilino thought about me right away because we built a really good relationship on the Astoria location.
Yeah.
When she asked him, is there anybody that you recommended to be then as a senior rep, he right away said, yo, it's gotta be Lewis. She didn't have that much faith in me because, to be honest, we only worked for like 2 months, and then she left. And on those 2 months, I was brand new to the system, so she didn't even know me. So she automatically disqualified me. She was like, no. And then Aquilino was like, no, you have to see him. We have to bring him here. If you really want somebody that you can trust, that's the guy. So, he actually was giving the fight for me, where he was like, you know what, whatever you want to do, bring him in. I went over there, got my interview, and got the position over there on Broadway. That's when I met Josh. And that's actually over there the store that made me, I was I think if I'm not mistaken, number 2 on the whole company.
Wow.
For that year. I got me there was supposed to be a trip to Hawaii, but the company was going through some financial stuff, so they gave me $3,000 instead of the trip. But I got the number 2 of the whole United States top rep.
So do you think it was, you said like technical knowledge played a big part in it, but let's say, like, what's a sample customer interaction so someone who could see this thing like, oh, okay, this is kind of what you should say or how you should do it. So let's say if I came in, try and buy a new iPhone 8, how would you sell to me, or how would you, not even sell, how would you talk to me in that process?
Well, like I said, when you go into a retail store, you already have your mindset that you're gonna buy something. Sell is almost done.
Okay.
You just gotta pinpoint the things to make the decision now instead of let me think about it. Okay. And that's where many people fail. Like if you go to a store, let's call it window shopping. Let's see what this guy could do for me for an iPhone 8. I really want that phone, and you know you want that phone because when people gonna buy a phone, they want to buy that phone. That's the phone they want. You may want to go over there and say, you know what, I want an iPhone 8. You're not going to work out with an Android because you already have your mindset that it's an iPhone that you want. So the only thing that I used to do is I educate you on everything that you want. I wasn't selling you. I was like, okay, you want the iPhone? What's it that you want it for? Oh, no, it looks good and nice. Also, let me tell you something. This phone, look how slick it is. I already know you only care about the looks. Maybe you wasn't a tech savvy. You just want to have the latest gadget. You know what? With that phone, also this nice case could go with it. Anyway, how many other lines you have? Or your family or anybody has any other phone? Yeah, my mom has, but she pays her own bill. How much she pays? So you start having a conversation with her. Then you may sell the phone right on the spot, which most of the time people buy it. Then see if they qualify for the discount, because that's another thing on the retail store back then. You have to be eligible for an upgrade unless it was a new line, and then you try to close it right away. So also I was trying to find out extra discount for customer. Where do you work? Oh, I work for Dunkin' Donuts. You know what? Dunkin' Donuts offer 15% discount every month. So now your bill, instead of being $85 minus 15%, we're talking about $8. You could use that on something else.
Yeah.
So now you becoming his friend. You're his advisor. His salesperson. So people most of the time, even if they want to, couldn't say no to me. Because it was like, oh, this is so good that if I say no, tomorrow it's not going to be here. So you know what, let me just jump into it right now. Same thing with every single customer. And then another thing is repetition. I got out of one customer, I take the next one. I wasn't just like, oh, I finished with this one, I got a sale, let me go 5 minutes to the back, get water, let me come back now. Finish with that one, come the next one. I was taking care of more customer over there, I would say, than anybody else. There was only one person that was taking more not more, but almost the same amount as me. It was to be Easton. I don't know if you remember. That guy, he used to take a lot of customer, but he used to take longer with a customer than me.
But still, really, some people that understand.
It's recording, so you got to do
I think you should have just leave that recording and have a conversation, and then you just cut it.
All right, so we can do that.
Yeah. So the entitlement, like I'm telling you, is a lot of people. I don't have no problem with degrees. I actually love people who pursue education and go to the extra mile to get to that level.
Yeah.
The more you know, the more you earn, and the more that data could you have.
You know what? I'm gonna join in. It's a conversation.
Yeah, it's the more it's the more in value that you are on the marketplace right now. But the problem with entitlement is because sometimes people get to their head because I have a PhD and MBA, I entitled to only make 80,000. They base their income on the title. When on the other hand, the guys that only have a high school diploma or maybe not even a high school diploma see the struggle, and he says, you know what? I know I'm entitled to just maybe 25,000, but guess what? I'm gonna make 200 because I'm gonna work so hard that I'm gonna outwork anybody with a bachelor degree, with any kind of title. So when they look at me, they're gonna say, you know what the hell is he doing? He's working more. He's giving more to himself on the field. He's like learning more, even though he don't have the title, but he's learning more about his industry, about the market, about the customer. He's putting more time than anybody else.
So what you're saying is it's the hunger. You gotta be hungry for it. And
You have to be hungry and you have to be persistent. And you also have to understand that without knowledge, that's what I said, I'm a big advocate of education. Don't get me wrong, don't believe that thing that the new people are telling you, you don't have to be, have a degree or an MBA to make a millionaire. Yeah, you don't have to. But if I were to be you, it's a preference that you should have on your packet. You always have to have information, knowledge, because without that, nobody would make it.
like me, I can't sit in class because I have ADHD, so the best thing for me to learn is by reading.
You could read, like I said, there's no shame how you get your knowledge. It could be reading, it could be watching a video. I have friends that they make more money than somebody that is have a 4-year degree. They got their own business. And if you sit and reading and writing, you say, this guy didn't even go to 5th grade. I have a friend that didn't even know how to read, and he makes over 6-figure. So, you know what I mean? But that doesn't stop him for learning. Learning either through video, asking people, anything. Like even on Google. Like that guy, I'm telling you, he goes over there and he had a conversation with anybody in the room, and you will never think he never even finished school.
But it's great learning.
He's a great learner, and he knew that his disadvantage was his advantage. His disadvantage of not knowing, like the regular class school program, going to high school, going to college, was his disadvantage. But then it becomes his biggest advantage because then he learned the street way or the street smart to making business. So he knew that he has to work 3, 4, 5 times than somebody that has a degree. Because the only way that you could outsmart somebody, how is it? Putting more time. You could be gifted, and I could not be gifted. But if you give me 4 years, me working 10 more hours than you, in 3 years, I will surpass your knowledge. That's it.
So you gotta know yourself as well. That's a very important thing. Know yourself. Know how to learn, what steps you can take yourself. Because, like you said, not everyone has to go to school, but there's so many different ways of learning: visual, audio, reading, trying
Always
to
gotta learn. Always gotta learn. Either way, through traditional school, on the street, or on the business. You always gotta learn something because you cannot make more money without knowing more. There's no that doesn't exist. And if you're doing it, that means you're scamming somebody. You're scamming somebody. Because there's no way that you're gonna make more money without knowing more.
It's like I learned hands-on. That's like in spring, I was one of the best techs, fastest repaired phone, fastest dealing with customers, because I learned how to do things and then I made in my mind a better way of implementing it. Why deal with one person if there's a line of 50 people, if I could deal with 4 people at the same time and just write down on the poster or whatever what the problem is, make a ticket, send it to the back window, you know?
Yeah, but look at that time. You say one person at a time versus 2 persons at a time. You have more repetition. You're doing it 4 times more, and that's what I'm saying. Even though you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it more often than somebody else, eventually you're gonna get more better than that other person, because you're doing it more. Same thing when we're working. Me, when I was knocking on, I'm still knocking on doors, but when I was new, this is what they told me: you knock on 80 doors, you make 1 sale, and you're good for the whole month, and you're gonna be making a lot of money. Sounds like a plan. I could do 80 doors a day. Then I noticed on my first month, I was making decent money. So how do I make more money? I get increase my door knocking. Now I start doing 120. I'm making more sales and more contact. Now I'm knocking into 150 doors, 180 doors. Now I'm making way more sales. And guess what? A year, 2 year passed, working 6 days a week, only taking Sundays off. I was so good at what I was doing that now I backtrack. Only work 5 days a week. Now I only have to work door knocking like 6 hours.
So you get better at what you're doing through
Exactly.
So,
So you spend less
So you
time doing the
master
same
it.
thing.
You master it because now it takes less time to close the customer and find it than doing the stuff. You know, it's go hand to hand. The technology and the information and the data you have makes you better.
Yeah.
I was doing the same job, but just getting it more repetition. I was doing it more often. I
Getting
was
better
learning
at know what to
more.
say to each person depending on what they respond. So like you said, it's listening is a big part more than just talking. You gotta listen, find out what the customer needs, what they want. Like you said before, like, oh, if you're not available this time, oh, you're available at 7 o'clock. Okay, I'll be here at 7 o'clock. So you don't do the same. No one really has the same thing for everyone. Everyone has a little diversification of how you treat everyone.
Everybody's
But it's the
different.
same concept of how you go at it.
Exactly. So, and another thing is, by you doing it so many times with so many different people, you have so many rebuttals. Like you could have 20 objections and you will have 21 answer for it. Then it's
how do you
become
deal with that though?
I don't know what you
That's
deal with
the
it.
biggest thing. Handling no.
Handling
And
no.
then rejection. A lot of people that's
with the repetition, because by the time that you go through all of those customers, I don't care what you do. If you've been doing a job, the same job for 6 months, you should already know every single rejection, every single customer is gonna give you. You're already predicting the future. You're just waiting for the question, so you already have the answer. That's called prediction. What's gonna happen? Ain't nobody innovating any objection. Everybody's gonna ask you the same and gonna tell you the same objection all the time, especially if you've been doing the job for 6 months. Unless something new came up on that industry, they say, but like I said, I cannot even think about one right now. Let's say there's a new cable company, I work on cable, and there's a new cable company that just opened this week on this block. And this is the first time I see somebody with that company. That would be my first objection. But I bet you at the same time that I see that customer or somebody else like him, I will have those answers. So it's the same thing. If you've been doing the job for a certain amount of time, there's no way for you to don't know.
Yeah.
At least for every objection, have 3 rebuttals.
And what about if somebody says, and says a lot of people go, hey, I have to talk to my spouse.
That's even better. Talk to your wife, but let me tell you something. I could educate you so when you have this conversation with your wife, you could give them the right information and the right knowledge. You're not gonna know what you're gonna talk to your wife, and no offense, if you don't know what I'm gonna bring to the table. And better yet, if I can know, if you don't know what you have compared to what I'm gonna give you, how you gonna do my job better than me? Smart, you know? You're not confronting, you're just agreeing to the objection. And by you agreeing to the objection, you get to explain your service. And by you agreeing to explain your service, he may not even have to talk to his wife now.
So you even provide a script for him to talk to his wife about, because he's been arguing the same way with his wife all this time. And now you're like, hey, honey, I know something I didn't know before. And she'll be shocked too. Like, hey, I didn't even know you're that smart. Or
Yeah.
how'd you learn this? And like him. So